This is it. These are my final predictions. I've been racking my brain. I just want to get it over with. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to the garage. The Academy Awards are coming up. I want to go through this. Let's talk through it. So, this video for these predictions, if you've been following Oscar predictions, if you've been reading other outlets and stuff like that, might be a bit boring to you because I think I'm going somewhat predictable in my predictions. So I'm going to kind of talk, not necessarily in depth, but a little bit longer about the above the line categories. We'll get into them right now. And then after I'm done with that, for the next few minutes or so, I'll give you who I think the winner is going to be in each of the below the line categories as well, with the exception of the shorts, because I've only seen like 2 of all of the short films nominated, animated, all the shorts. I've only seen 2 of them. So I'm going to start here with Best Supporting Actress. This is possibly the most up in the air category, because this is really a 3-headed monster now, with Jamie Lee Curtis winning at the Screen Actors Guild Award this past week. That was somewhat shocking. However, hold that thought. Not as shocking when it comes to the outcome for the Academy Awards. So, in looking at this list, I think it's either Jamie Lee, Carrie Condon, or Angela Bassett. Now, if I had filmed this video a week ago, really, you know what? Let me take that back. If I had filmed this video like the day after the SAGs, I probably still would have picked Angela Bassett to win here. But I'm kind of in the last couple days reevaluating, because I feel like Jamie Lee winning at the SAGs kind of helped Carrie Condon a little bit, because Angela Bassett would have had another notch in her ever-growing belt of accolades this award season for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Very well deserved, by the way. She is a queen. But I feel like Carrie Condon's going to swoop in here, because I don't see the Banshees of Inisherin really being the favorite in a lot of other categories. In fact, I don't know if it will win anything else on Oscars night. There's a possibility for like 1 or 2 below the line categories that we'll get to here in a minute when I give my predictions for those. But I'm going to go with Carrie Condon. The Jamie Lee win at the SAGs, I kind of equate that a little bit to like Emily Blunt, and when she won for A Quiet Place in 2018, which was kind of a shock. I loved it as a horror fanatic, but it was kind of a shock, and it was really a one-off. Like, it was really the only major award that Emily won that year, even though she was mentioned in a couple critic circles and things like that. But when it came to like the big shows, that was really the only one she was in the race for. Jamie Lee's name's been thrown around here. She's also a horror legend from Halloween, of course, and many other things, Prom Night. But I feel like the award, you know, it was given to her by her peers and by colleagues, by the Screen Actors Guild. It's a little bit different, so it kind of makes sense that she would win that. And I don't think the Academy is going to be super, super swayed going into the next 3 or 4 days of voting. I just don't know that the momentum will be enough to carry Jamie Lee to a victory. And like I said, with Angela Bassett kind of losing out there, helps Carrie Condon kind of jump back up. The BAFTA sweetheart from the Banshees of Inisherin. The BAFTAs didn't even, it was like Black Panther didn't even exist. So it's really the BAFTAs versus the Globes here in terms of like the high profile televised events. I'm beating around the bush because I'm afraid to make it final, but my prediction for Best Supporting Actress on Oscars night is Carrie Condon for the Banshees of Inisherin. If I had a vote in this category, my vote would go to Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. When we're talking about Best Supporting Actor, this is an easy one. I don't really have to spend a ton of time on this one. Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. The guy is racking up. There was a surprise at the BAFTAs where Barry Keoghan came in and took that award. Barry Keoghan had an amazing performance in the Banshees of Inisherin, but I think that Ke Huy Quan's story and the feel-good just aura around that dude, I mean, he breaks your heart every time he's on stage. He just comes with this ownership of nostalgia too. You're just immediately kind of connected to him if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, or you loved a lot of those movies that he was in when he was a young actor. And then he took a break from Hollywood because people didn't want to cast him. He couldn't get work because of his Asian heritage. So it's a really feel-good story and a really great comeback story. And it is an amazing performance as Waymond in Everything Everywhere. I think this is a no-brainer. It would also be my vote if I had one. Ke Huy Quan, Everything Everywhere All at Once for Best Supporting Actor. Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to get a lot of mentions on this video. As we get into our Best Actress race too, this is really a two-headed race. And it's the rabbit and the hare. They're both running as fast as they can to that Academy Award. It's between Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere and Cate Blanchett from Tar as Lydia Tar. Both of them have pretty much equal number of awards and precursors leading up to the Oscars. Michelle Yeoh has such a heartfelt, memorable moment at the SAGs this past week. I was in tears. I mean, it was amazing. She's been working forever, and for her to get these accolades now in a movie that really has transcended all different genres. I've talked about it on this channel before. I love that movie. I think it's Michelle Yeoh. I really do. I think Cate Blanchett is a two-time Oscar winner. She has the statues already. The Academy knows that. That's going to play into it a little bit, I feel like. Again, this feel-good story, the Asian representation here, it's got to be Michelle Yeoh. Although, if they called Cate Blanchett's name on Oscars night, I wouldn't be surprised from a purely performance standpoint. And if you think the Academy's voting purely on performance, then I got news for you. They're not. But based purely on that, Cate Blanchett would make sense. In fact, a lot of these would. But I think Michelle Yeoh, with all the kind of extracurricular stuff going on and all the noise and the hype and just a beautiful story of her career, I think she's your Best Actress. All right, here's another one that's like, what do I do? As I'm looking at it, I was telling my wife this is a two-headed race. I was talking to her about it today. It's between Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser, in my opinion, for The Whale, and of course Austin Butler for Elvis. Again, they're both kind of like this when it comes to the different award shows. One will win this one, the next one will win this one, and they're kind of seesawing back and forth. They both have a lot of great credits on the resume this award season. So I told my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to go with the one that I am hopeful for, because this is a race that I feel is literally 50-50. I think it's one of those races that could end in a 51-49 percentage on Oscars night. Of course, we won't know. They don't give us those numbers. But when Ernst & Young or whoever it is that counts them up, they're going to be like, oh my God, this was only separated by like 10 votes or whatever. That's what I think is going to end up happening. And I'm going to give it to Austin Butler for Elvis. I've mentioned it before, I'm a fanboy of Elvis Presley himself, but I love Butler's turn in this movie. So energetic, so charismatic, so memorable. Just a frantic movie directed by Baz Luhrmann. And Austin Butler, who had done some TV stuff and some teen comedies and stuff like that, came into this role, played, sang his own songs, did his own performing, literally became Elvis for like 2 years. Some people think he still is when you see him on stage and his voice and everything. And it's my favorite performance among these nominees. So it would also get my vote. I'm going to go Austin Butler for Elvis for Best Actor. When it comes to Best Director, another iffy one. I want to say a lock, but I hate saying lock. I hate saying shoe-in. But I'm going to give it to the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, the directing duo for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think the main competition in this category is Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. I was lukewarm on The Fabelmans. I've voiced that on this channel before. It wasn't anywhere near being one of my favorite movies of the year. I don't think it's Spielberg's best directed film or one of his best directed films, but it's a touching story. It's a story rooted in cinema, rooted in the love of movies, and there's a lot of other familial things going on in the film too. Some great support. I said supporting. Michelle Williams, Paul Dano in this film. I think Spielberg's name is what's threatening the Daniels here, and I don't think The Fabelmans is going to get anything else. And I think being such a Hollywood story and Spielberg being such a Hollywood guy that some people would argue is in that A-team of people that have kept Hollywood afloat for decades, Spielberg, James Cameron, those kinds of guys, he's one of those dudes. He's one of the pillars of literal cinema. So for that reason, his name comes up, like with West Side Story, and anytime his name comes up, he's in the running. And I feel like he's in the running here too. So he would be your kind of upset at the last minute, But my prediction is going to go to the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and they would also get my vote if I was casting a vote among these 5. All right, final above the line category prediction. Who is shocked? Everything Everywhere All at Once is my prediction for the best movie of the year. I also think it is the best movie of the year. You know, when I did my top 10 movies of the year on my podcast, which you can find in the links below, my number one personal favorite movie of the year was Bones and All. That was my number 1. Babylon was my number 2. Some people might be raising their eyebrow right now. I have a weird sensibility, but those are my 2 favorite movies of the year. But my number 3 was Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's definitely my favorite one among the nominees this year. It would get my vote. It's a movie that's going to define the year. You look at certain years and you look at certain films in those years, and you just remember that movie from that year. You know, I think about Parasite in 2019. I'm going to be thinking about Everything Everywhere for 2022. I think about The Social Network from 2010. There's just certain movies that latch onto the year they came out, and that's the poster child for that year. And I think it's Everything Everywhere this year. And I think with just all the hoopla and fanfare and just feel-good stories around the performances in this movie, just across the board, it is such a great story. James Hahn's speech at the SAGs really helped kind of put this to bed, in my opinion. So I hope I'm right, but Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to be your best picture winner this year, and it will be a feel-good moment, and I will probably have tears in my eyes. So those were your above the line categories. I'm just going to run through real quick. I'm not going to give a ton of commentary on these. You'll see some slides go through, and I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win in all these categories. Again, I will not be predicting the shorts. For original screenplay, I think Everything Everywhere is going to carry this award show, not necessarily break records, but it's going to shock a lot of people how many Oscars it's going to walk away with. That's my prediction for original screenplay. Adapted screenplay, I'm going to do the right thing, and hopefully the Academy does too. It should go to Sarah Polley and the crew for Women Talking. A very important film that got overlooked egregiously, just like shockingly this award season. Just such a beautiful, poignant picture. And I hope that the team for Women Talking has that statue at a minimum. Visual effects, Avatar, The Way of Water. Next slide, please. All right, for sound, first of all, can I just ask, how is Babylon not nominated for this? I'm going to get on a high horse here at certain categories that Babylon got left out of, including Best Picture, by the way. There's a whole scene in this movie about sound and about the invention of sound into cinema. That's literally one of the best scenes in any movie I've seen in like 30 years. But I digress. Of the nominees, my prediction is going to be All Quiet on the Western Front. Here's where we could get some awards for my darling Babylon: production design. I feel like this is one of 2 categories that Babylon is going to reign supreme on Oscars night. It is also a little bit of a hopeful, cross my fingers pick for me, but I'm picking Babylon to win production design. When it comes to original score, I'm also picking Babylon, but not only am I picking Babylon, I'm literally giving my life for this prediction. If Justin Hurwitz does not win best score for this, literally I will deem everyone on the Academy insane. I do not know, even if you're one of those people that hated the movie, I do not know how you can hear that score and not go, let's give this an award. I mean, this is like top tier shit, guys. Original song, possible wishful thinking, but it's also been racking up. Not To from RRR. It didn't get submitted for international feature, so there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for this movie to walk away with anything on Oscar night. I think it's going to be a badass baller performance when we see that song performed on awards night, and I also think it's going to win your best original song. Makeup and hairstyling. This award is going to help my Austin Butler prediction for actor, because I think Elvis is also going to win makeup and hairstyling. You have this award that they will win, I think, and you also have the Best Picture nomination. That's going to help Butler. He's the best actor. I think it all kind of plays in together a little bit. It's a bit incestuous the way it works out every year if you look at the history of the Academy. But my pick, for a lot of those reasons I just mentioned and others, because I think it is an amazing job done by makeup and hairstyling in Elvis. So with RRR missing from the international feature film category, all 5 of these movies are straight up bangers. Every single one of these movies are top tier, literally could be in the Best Picture nominations. This was a tough one But based on the success of the BAFTAs and the kind of late surge of this movie, with very little thanks to Netflix because they didn't promote this enough, I'm going to give it to All Quiet on the Western Front. Also, just a caveat, I think that's also a movie that could upset in Best Picture. I don't think it will. I obviously didn't predict it. But if it happened, Jaws would be on the floor, including mine, but it would also make sense. Just an amazing war epic that's a remake of a previous Oscar winner. I do think it walks away with international feature, though. Film editing is a little bit all over the place. There's a few options here. I'm going to make a prediction for Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a beautifully edited film. It's an independently edited film. And I think it's going to add to the tally of the night for Everything Everywhere. I think the danger for them in this category is Top Gun Maverick. But I also think Elvis is a kind of frantically edited film that editors will appreciate. I don't know. I really don't know in this category, but I'm going to pick Everything Everywhere. For Best Documentary, for me, it's a two-header race between Navalny and Fire of Love. I've seen both. I liked Fire of Love a little bit better, and I know they just made the announcement that it was going to be turned into a narrative film. There's a lot of nice fanfare around it. Any Academy member could see this at home. It's streaming on, I believe, Disney Plus or Hulu. I'm going to go Fire of Love. I think Navalny has a very, very strong chance, but I feel like I might get a one-up on a lot of people that are picking Navalny based on precursors, and Fire of Love, in my opinion, is a close second that I think is going to actually jump based on some news that's going on right now as voting is happening. So I'm going to pick Fire of Love for Best Documentary. I also really liked it. You should check it out. Costume design, I want to give this to Babylon, and I would be thrilled if it won, but I know there's also been a lot of criticism around the costumes in Babylon not really matching the time period, particularly for Margot Robbie's character and some of the other women in the film. I loved it, but I also get it from a historical accuracy perspective. So for that reason, I'm going to go Elvis here. I think Elvis is going to fit in with the makeup, and the costume makes sense too. So just so my predictions kind of make sense, I'm going to have them line up. Cinematography is a tough category. I don't really know, but because of how it was shot and the raw, gritty realism of it, I'm going to pick All Quiet on the Western Front. Again, along with international film, I just feel like this is a movie that has been so well received as of late, and they're going to want to give it its due where they can, and it is a beautifully shot movie. It's painful to watch, but it's shot so real and so personal. It's one of the best looking movies of the year by a country mile. So that's my prediction for cinematography. And then we'll be ending on a no-brainer for animated feature film. My son will be pleased as well because it's also his prediction, but Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio will win Best Animated with virtually no competition. I don't even know if any of the other movies will even get a vote, not to take anything away from those films because there's a lot of good nominees in this category. But this is the animated film, especially if you're talking about stop motion this year. And it's Guillermo del Toro, who is an Academy darling. He's a previous winner. People love him. This was one that they thought might actually sneak into the Best Picture discussion as well, which it easily could have. It was probably like 11 or 12, honestly. So I think they're going to give it, without even thinking about it, they're going to be checking that box. Pinocchio will be your Best Animated winner. There you go, guys. Sorry for the extra long video, but thank you for letting me talk through this. I'll put a link down below too, so you can go to see all of these predictions on my website. And please leave down in the comments what I got wrong or who you think is going to win on Oscars night. I will be doing a reactions video after the broadcast. I don't think I'll do it during the broadcast because I'll be in tears, especially if some of these things win. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time in the garage.